How's it guys, Munash here, and today we have the 5th war of Season 24. A pretty special war for me because I got to use Quake, a champ who I haven't used in war since Season 22. And before that I used to use her in almost every war. In fact, I used her in literally every war from Season 11 until Season 21. And then last season, Season 23, was the only season where I didn't use her at all. So I'm going with Quake, Human Torch and Warlock because we have another Apocalypse boss to take care of. So today I'm going to be doing part 1, a part that I last did in Season 22. But today I'm going to do a full part 1 instead of switching in section 2. And that's kind of why I brought Quake, because she works well on pretty much every fight on part 1. Although I did use Torch for 1 or 2 of those fights. Okay, so let's get on to part 1 where we first have a Dragon Man with Arc Overload 2.0 and Vigorous Assault. So Quake works extremely well for this fight, mainly because she can bypass the overload node. Just gotta make sure you're holding heavy when the fight starts, and then concussion will take care of the rest. So now he has the power gain, so I just need to parry to remove it. And now it's a pretty straightforward Quake fight because concussion will prevent it from coming back. Now cornered, so Quake is in a happy place, just gotta do the heavy dex. And yeah, I actually felt a bit weird doing this fight. I think it's just because I'm not very familiar with Dragon Man because I haven't really Quaked him that much. I just wasn't used to his animations because there were times where I felt like I could have gotten hit. The fight itself felt a little bit awkward to Quake. At first I thought that maybe I'm just a little bit sloppy because I don't actually use it that much in war. Then I realized it's probably just Dragon Man because I don't actually Quake him that much. I think I've only Quaked him twice or maybe 3 times in total. But I mean, it's not a difficult fight, I wasn't really worried, it just felt a little bit awkward to Quake him. Now he's about to go down, so pretty comfortable with Quake, took just under a minute and still not boosted. So now we're gonna move on to the next fight where we have Brother Voodoo with Masochism and Indomitable. So this is a fight I would usually use Quake for, but I have Human Torch in the team, so I might as well use him because it's gonna be faster and I suppose easier. And Torch generally works better for Masochism since he has that heal reversal with the Incinerates. Also, Voodoo does have 200% ability accuracy, so Quake's concussion won't always be able to bypass Masochism. So I go in with Torch and re-parry heavy because the first parry stun gets eaten up by Masochism, and of course hold the heavy a bit to build temperature. Then I go in with an intercept, drop the usual Torch combo, another intercept, another Torch combo, another one. And I just love it when the AI plays like that, but now he's being a little bit more passive. So he's got to be a little bit more patient, but I mean the fight barely took 30 seconds and he's about to go down. So yeah, a very comfortable fight with Torch. Definitely the better choice for this fight. So yeah, pretty simple stuff, and now we're gonna move up to section 2 actually. That's all I had to do in section 1. So now I'm just gonna use a lesser champion boost because I still have many of these. Still on part 1, but first we have to take out this Doom with E.M.P modification, enhanced energy attacks, burden of might and rolling thunder. Basically a bunch of stuff that Quake doesn't care about. And it's Doom. Quake is a very good Doom counter. And I've probably Quaked Doom close to 100 times by now. So I go in with Quake and just want to hold the heavy attack and don't have to dash back yet until I'm in a corner, since there is quite a bit of pushback on his medium attack. Okay, now that I'm in a corner I start dexing. And as long as I don't get hit, I should be fine. He will never throw a special attack, so I don't have to worry about E.M.P modification. So it is a pretty simple Quake fight. Basically, like, he has no nodes, and I don't know if it's just me, but unlike the Dragon Man fight, Doom felt a bit slow today, like ever so slightly slower than usual. Maybe it's just me again because I haven't Quaked him in a long time. In fact, the last time I Quaked him in war was during the stubborn era, so I was doing heavy only, which of course is more difficult, and maybe that's why he felt a bit slow today. And on the previous maps I used to fight him a lot with stun immunity or debuff immunity, which can also add to the difficulty because you don't get breaks, and again, maybe that's why he felt a bit slower today. So it's probably just me not remembering things correctly. Maybe I'm getting old, but yeah, it's a very comfortable fight with Quake. He goes down, no health loss, and the fight didn't take that long. Okay, so moving forward, part 1, section 2. First fight we have is going to be this Captain Marvel with Vigor and Indomitable. So this is also a good matchup for Quake, although this one will be a little bit different because of the Vigor node. So every 15 seconds she'll regen 50% of her base health, unless you can take her down to a 25% health interval within those 15 seconds. Then the timer resets. So I'm just gonna go in with Quake and heavy decks for most of the fight. But you are gonna see me parry a few times just to deal with Vigor, because the plan is to have a concussion on her whenever it activates. And the parry stuns will help with that because they'll give me a bit more time to hold the heavy attack because she'll be stunned instead of trying to hit me. Okay, so now we're at the first 15 seconds, so Vigor's about to trigger, but I didn't have to do anything here because the concussion lasted long enough to prevent it. So we just carry on, wait for the next cycle. Timer comes back, and this time I think I did have to parry to prevent the next one. Yeah, about to hit Aftershock, and it's probably gonna expire just before Vigor would trigger. So right after the concussion expires, I can parry here and then hold the heavy attack, just in time to bypass Vigor. Okay, now we're about halfway through the fight, so should be 2 more Vigor cycles. And one thing I didn't think about is if there's a specific timing to quaking Vigor nodes, like encroaching stun, where basically you just start quaking at a certain time, and that would allow you to bypass all the cycles without changing your playstyle. I just haven't looked into that, but it's not really necessary for Vigor nodes. Okay, so I managed to get past the last cycle just by dropping her to 25% health a few seconds before the node would have triggered. So for the last cycle, I dropped my heavy attack 3 seconds before it would trigger, which gives me some space so I can be holding the heavy attack when it triggers. Then just wait for the next Aftershock and she goes down. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed that fight just because it was a bit more interactive than your standard Quake fight. Okay, so now we're gonna move up to this man thing with Buffet and Lionheart. So again, a pretty good matchup for Quake. The only thing about this one is that it does have Buffet, and when Man Thing nullifies a buff, he also applies a poison and armor break debuff, which is something I didn't realize until it actually happened. So I was quaking him like normal because it's Man Thing. At first I just start holding heavy without the dexes until I'm in a corner, because he has the same type of pushback as Doom. So I only dex when I'm in a corner, which triggers Buffet, and then I get those debuffs on me. But fortunately it's just one poison, so it doesn't really do that much damage, especially with willpower, even at level 1. And that will be the only time it happens, because now I do have the precision buff from dexterity. I just need to make sure I don't hit him, otherwise I'll lose the buff, then I'll have to go through all that again. But otherwise, not really a big deal, because this also is the last Quake fight of the war, so I'm not too worried about the health loss. But this is one of the longer fights, so I just wanted to make sure that I don't slip up early in the fight. I suppose parry heavy would also be an option, although I'm not sure you can apply those postules on you just from contact like when you parry. I think you need to have a buff on you first if I remember correctly. I just know he has up to a 15% chance to nullify a buff on contact, but that's based on his current agitation, so if he has 0, then does that mean a 0% chance, or is it just a lot less than 15 but still above 0? Agitation goes up to 100 and works in intervals of 5, so that's 20 intervals. So if I divide 15 by 20, then that should give me the percentage chance for nullifying on contact, yeah? That makes sense, right? The thing is, you get math and then you get kabam math, so you never really know. But yeah, one more Aftershock in this fight, then I give him the death stare and he goes down. Okay, so that was the last Quake fight, so I'm gonna move up to section 3, the mini-bosses, and now the fights get a little bit more interesting. So first up we have a Mojo with Recovery, Indomitable, and Vigorous Assault. So a pretty good matchup for Torch, and I'm even gonna use the Flame On pre-fight ability because it's my last Torch fight, and it's the biggest fight, so I might as well. Don't really need it, but it just makes it easier. So I go in and just parry, or I try to parry, and then eventually I do parry. Do the usual Torch combo, medium, light, medium. I'm gonna play fairly aggressively just to pull up those temperatures and smolders. And try to avoid dexing when he has the anti-life field so I don't get that degen on me. And now I'm gonna go into super parry mode where I just parry everything he throws at me. Just waiting for that special 2 to be thrown. Eventually he does throw it, then I can go back to doing the usual combos. And yeah, throw a special 2, the fight is going really well. I try to parry heavy after dashing in, but he had high limber, so he does catch me with that special 1, and I take an annoying amount of damage as he goes down. So I was hoping to get through this war without using any potions, but I am gonna have to heal up Human Torch. Cause now we have a rank 3 Mysterio with Stunning Reflection, Polka Dot Power, and Stun Vulnerability. So Torch works pretty well for this fight, mainly because he has the Incinerate, so he can disable the Stunning Reflection, and then do a good amount of damage with Stun Vulnerability. Also with High Temperature he counters Miss, which can make the fight easier because then you can just bait Special 2s and then punish. So I go in with Torch and make sure I don't parry, just bait that heavy attack and then I can punish. Then I can parry with the Incinerates on. Then I just want to parry heavy and then hold it to build up the temperature, because you do need a high temperature to counter Miss. So one thing I didn't really do well in this fight is punish the second medium attack. I just didn't recognize it quickly enough, so I was just punishing the heavy attack, just to get those openings when I can't parry. So now he throws a Special 2 and I try to punish, but my temperature is too low, so I miss. So I just have to wait it out. And once it ends, I just go back in, bait that heavy attack, and then I can parry again. And I was finding it very difficult to build to a max temperature in this fight for some reason. Like, he just wasn't playing the way I would have liked him to. Then he throws a heavy attack, which I dex and try to punish, but I get parried. And then he follows up with a heavy attack. He just had to throw a heavy attack, 20k crit and the poison damage, and now I'm going down. So a couple of things there. First of all, I died because I failed to punish the heavy attack quickly enough. I can accept that, that was my fault, you know, a big mistake from me, fair enough. But why the fun and interactive damage did he have to follow up with a heavy attack? Of all the things he could have done, he could have dropped a light attack, a medium, he could have backed off, it's unlikely but it's possible. But he throws a heavy attack, and it has to crit, and then he gets the poison after that, which is just extremely annoying because that just killed me at the end. Also, I guess I didn't take this fight as seriously as I could have since I wasn't boosted still, because the war was already won. It was a bit of a mismatch to be honest, but I guess that's what happens when you have a bit of a rough start to the season and lose the tier 1 multiplier, then you start getting less master matchups. So I had to heal up Torch again, which is quite annoying because I was just bragging about how I used minimal items in this war. Then I had to use a lot more items. So yeah, I guess that's karma. Maybe I'm just being punished for my hubris. But yeah, finally he goes down. Okay, so now we have one more fight, which is gonna be the Apocalypse boss. And to be honest, I'm getting tired of this boss. You know, I fight him here almost every other war. In fact, this is War 5. I fought him here again in War 6, which I'll probably upload tomorrow or the day after. So I fought an Apocalypse boss 4 times out of the 6 wars we've had so far this season. Kinda boring. So I wasn't even sure if I want to do some commentary on this fight because I have basically done it already more than once. The only main difference between this fight and the ones I've done previously is that here I was baiting the Special 1 a bit more because I wanted to test the block dex block technique for dealing with the Special 1 and just see how effective it is in terms of how much health I lose. And I just blocked the first Special 2 because I just didn't trust the game after what happened in War 3 when I took this fight and it felt like I was playing on a potato. But yeah, the dex block dex technique worked pretty well. I didn't lose too much health until the end where I just made a small slip up where I sort of just let my guard down and took a combo. But the fight was basically over at that stage. He had 3% health left, I had 44%. So I just had to drop one more combo after getting hit. The thing is, I don't even think Apocalypse is that difficult anymore. I mean, we've been fighting him in AQ for a couple of months now as the boss. Many people are getting good at dexing his special attacks, and yeah, he still gets placed here most of the time. I don't really want to criticize the placement. I mean, I don't think it's a bad placement or anything like that. I'm just saying I would like a little bit more variety, you know? But maybe that's just me, I don't know. So yeah, that's gonna be it from me for this video. I'm just gonna let the boss fight play on, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.